news from news for you. Okay, let's start off with business. Um, Ernst& Young's breakup plan raises fears um, over the audit industry. Um, Partners at the Big Four firm will start voting in November on EU's proposals to spin off, uh, publicly list its advisory business, a move its leaders uh, say will drive growth by eliminating conflicts of interest. Now, Ernst& Young are a consulting company. They look at the world's biggest accounts in terms of advisory, and they are breaking up effectively. Um, I'm unsure on this story. I know that the executives around the world are concerned about this. Um, will it strip out the expertise needed for the world's biggest brands in terms of tax advisory? What do you think if the big four, KPMG, Accenture, and the other ones, if Ernst& Young do break up in terms of and try to give us more services, is that going to unsettle the industry? I would argue that in a recession, as we are right now, the markets are very volatile, and I seriously think it's dicey. I mean, they are experts supposedly. I would add caution on the effects. It's already a dicey economy, and I think a movement like that will unsettle markets. Whether it's good for business, it's for them to decide. They are going to take a vote on that in November. But I truly think that the underlying problem with a lot of industries at the moment is not the ability to perform business strategy, social media marketing, it's the ability to recruit. There is a big recruitment and selection bubble, as I've written on this on my LinkedIn profile, and I would argue that that is an unprecedented storm. Um, Firms are fighting for talent, as we know, instead of granite. This moves on to the education need. Do people actually want to work in a tax and consultancy company? I remember back to my roots when I was a graduate, and I went into education a lot later. In actual fact, I may have even applied for the Big Four. I don't know. I think I did in terms of the graduate scheme, but because I still am dyslexic, amazingly, I've got lots of talent, which I love. I didn't pass the recruitment tests. So those are the psychometric tests that you get. You do get an extra 5 or 10% time, I think, but I didn't pass any of them. So I don't know. I think it's more about recruitment selection, but it's for them to decide and vote on. I think it will unsettle the market, and I think I'm with the big CEOs on this one. I think that when you break up a big company, it causes disruptions in the market. Is it ideal? Although they feel they've got a current conflict of interest, I'm not sure. I don't think it's the best time. Moving on now to education news. There are going to be some strikes in England for further education colleges. This is reported from The Guardian. Now, I myself, I'm a former teacher, as most of you know. I do come from the further education sector. That's where I started my training, actually. And I enjoyed it immensely. Now, I know, if I can loosely remember the funding they get, if a student passes, and you have to correct me on this, they get funding for that student the following year. However, this is in relation to the cost of living crisis, and many different industries going to strike at the moment. Now, I'm all for that. However, the argument is, where's the money going to come from? Everybody wants more money, which I get. We want more money because we feel for many years in the UK we've been undervalued and certainly underpaid. Where's the money going to come from? If they do go on strike, as reported from The Guardian, this will be the largest ever strike in FE history. FE stands for Further Education, those who don't know what that is. And I'll read out from The Guardian. At the Association of Colleges, which is the AOC, which represents employers, they've only given they recommend a 2.5% pay rise. The University and College Union, that's a UCU, says this is not enough. And I would support that, agree with that. However, in a recession, where is the money going to come from? education is on its knees. The school heads are struggling to not only recruit, they can't even pay their current staff. They're having to choose between staff trips, student trips, okay, which is really good for students learning. It's a really difficult time. So, yeah, in short, any extra funding, as the Guardian reported, is going to go to energy bills. So there has been extra funding pumped into education, especially FE and other colleges. However, with energy prices going up, the FE colleges are having to pay those bills, so the money's not going into the lecturer's pocket, as it were. I would say with the energy crisis, what we need to do is we need to speed up nuclear energy innovations because we haven't innovated fast enough as of many parts of the world. While we're in this global energy crisis, the war in Ukraine hasn't helped. Russia holds a lot of gas, which you can pretty much levy up sanctions. And I want to make an announcement on my analysis and other thought leaders that have argued this. The Great Depression is coming. I can't see the UK economy and other world economies just quickly coming out of this recession. It's not going to happen. The energy crisis is real. Climate change is real. Mental health problems are real. These are global problems, and I think they all point towards a Great Depression. Really sorry about that, but that is the reality, and other thought leaders have said that as well. So, moving on to mental health news. A study I found today from the PSY Post, eating more fruit and fewer savory snacks, that's basically chips and stuff like that, predicts better mental health. So I don't think it takes a rocket science to know that basically you eat fruit and you're going to have a healthier body and mind. But the study, and I'll read this, the study published in the British Journal of Nutrition found that eating more fruit predicted fewer depression symptoms and greater psychological well-being, while eating more savory snacks increased anxiety. Now, I think this is important for a lot of us that have going through stress and anxiety at the moment because of we've just come out, well, not really out of the pandemic, people are still dying, sadly. We have got the war in Ukraine, we've got the energy crisis, that's a lot of stress, that's a lot of anxiety for a lot of people. So fruit prices have gone up. I've noticed that in supermarkets. However, there are some supermarkets, and I would argue there is a supermarket kind of war going on at the moment. Just started really. You're going to see that across industries, I would predict. Eating fruit is good for us. So in hindsight, stop eating chips and start eating more fruit. It will increase your cognitive thinking and capability. However, we all have those moments where we want to have a pizza, a burger, some chips. But we all need to be more healthier body. We can sleep better, we're eating better, and we can function better at work and at home. So, moving on to my last story and keeping these short, these news posts. NFL. Now, forgive me, I'm not an American football expert, but I am trying here. But I do think this story is quite fascinating. Russell Wilson, those of you who are NFL fans, was booed recently as he returned to Seattle Seahawks on Denver Broncos debut. Okay, the 34-year-old quarterback, so he's a quarterback, left the Seahawks in March in one of the biggest trades in NFL history. And when I looked up how much the transfer was, approximately, according to BBC Sport, $150 million. I would argue and say, is there too much money in sport and American football and all other sports in the world? This is scary. I think, I really want to, get up to understand American football and other sports as well. But yeah, the argument is, look at wealth distribution, and I can't put my fingers and blame football players because they didn't create the industry. We done it ourselves, mankind. So we're paying these ridiculous amounts of money while people in other parts of the world are starving. So wealth distribution, hence there is too much money in football. What can we do about it? Can we do anything about it? I would argue. It just seems ludicrous to me that kind of money for a football player. And we've seen it in the Premiership, we've seen it in other sports. What I love about the sport itself, and I own a sports brand, a very small, humble one, it's early beginnings, is the idea that you can increase someone's mental well-being when they. I know that a lot of sports athletes at the moment are declaring in the media they're taking breaks because of their mental health, and I think that's excellent because you shouldn't feel ashamed to declare how you feel in public. And whilst I'm on social media every single day, I do it to help others and I help myself because once I do a video, I feel good afterwards. And I think more people and more athletes should, get around a table and say, look, we're going to start to speak up a lot more about mental health in terms of how we feel. You can't let associations dictate to you how you run your life. It's a privilege to play for your country, but at the same time, we are all human. And I think what I've read from the NFL story and the money situation is, you need to support our athletes more. Stop putting them. They're not Superman or Superwoman, as it were. We're all human. So let's start throwing in the hat of empathy towards our athletes and our children, because funding is important from grassroots. I understand that. And I think it's what's really interesting to see in the next, and this is going to be so hard and difficult over the next couple of years as we go into this global recession, how much funding is going to be lost from grassroots, football, cricket, across the world. And my worrying concern is that, sport, we need sport in this world. We can't live without it because sport is taught in schools, in physical education. Obviously, we have the armed bodies need it. So therefore, when you take away some funding and grassroots football and cricket and other sports as well, I think that as a direct effect, we'll have to see some studies on this, on the impact of mental well-being in communities. Having a local football stadium really does matter. Having a local cricket team, I think, matters. And yes, all life matters, just to end on my positivity there. So anyway, that's tonight news for you. Rounding up, in memory of our great Queen Elizabeth II, I know a lot of you are still mourning, as I am, in sadness. I'm trying to carry on. I'm trying to, do as some of the tremendous qualities that our great Queen had was to carry on, but sometimes we do need rest. So those that are suffering with their mental well-being, because through memories, maybe they've had deaths recently in their own family. I know that myself. Difficult for me, having lost family relative under 4 years ago. It's hard. But we must focus, we must pull together, we must speak up about mental health. If anything needs for you, I want to champion is good mental well-being for all people. And I hope you've enjoyed tonight's show as I try to champion thought leadership and global real news and real opinions because we all matter in this world. So if you'd like to tune in again tomorrow night, please do. Follow me if you've not seen News for You before. And I look forward to giving you the best thought leadership and global news as possible as I can. And if you've not already, subscribe to our newsletter where you'll get the best daily insights. From me, Stephen Farhay, international thought leader, specialising in emotional intelligence and mental well-being. I'm a presenter here live on LinkedIn Live, and I sincerely hope I bid you a fair good evening. Thank you for watching. Take care. Good night. Bye for now.